Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin has just now confirmed a new bullish divergence in the short term that we need to pay attention to, as the Bitcoin dominance is currently dumping, which is great news for the altcoin market, finally causing a short-term relief for a lot of the altcoin market, while Ethereum is still in this sideways price range between support and resistance, and the price of Solana is now retesting and starting to bounce from this crucial area on the price chart. So I'll be talking about all of that and so much more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bull market. But of course, on this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we still have that major bearish divergence already playing out for the price of Bitcoin, which means potentially for the remainder of this month and also leading into next month, it's likely we're going to be lacking bullish momentum. So don't expect significant bullish momentum on the larger timeframes. Of course, we can see smaller bullish moves on smaller timeframes. That can happen. But in terms of the bigger picture here, overall, we're likely going to basically stay weak in terms of the price of Bitcoin here, looking weak over the next few weeks or over the next 1 month is a very likely outcome. And once again, I've already been saying that for around a month now on the channel. And if we're taking a look at this 3-day Bitcoin price chart, at least for now, the momentum is still looking more bearish than it is bullish, because as we can clearly see, the histogram within the MACD indicator on this 3-day Bitcoin price chart is still sitting in the red, indicating at least some bearish momentum. But with that being said, we're not really seeing significant momentum on the price chart, at least for now. So compared to some previous major moves in the price of Bitcoin, either towards the upside or to the downside, we don't really have that same sort of momentum, at least for now. So once again, still a little bit more bearish than bullish in terms of the momentum on the 3-day time frame, but not massive momentum either way. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, technically speaking, we still have a bearish divergence to watch out for on the daily time frame, as well as that bearish divergence on the weekly time frame. And so this is telling us that once again, for the remainder of this month, most likely leading into September, we're likely going to be showing a lot of weakness in the price of Bitcoin and lacking bullish momentum. Remember, I'm not saying no bullish price action. We can see short-term bullish reliefs that maybe play out over a few days, give or take here and there. But overall, the larger movement still looking quite weak for maybe the next few weeks, maybe the next 1 month as a likely scenario. And in terms of support and resistance to watch out for, right now, we're actually currently retesting this level on the price chart, a critical level to pay attention to, which is sitting at roughly 112,000. So that could act as a bit of short-term resistance. But of course, if we can actually break out back above 112,000 and confirm a daily candle close back above 112K and actually hold above that level, that would be very good news for Bitcoin. And in that situation, it's quite possible we could continue to see a bullish relief up towards around 117,000 as a likely scenario if we first quickly reclaim 112,000 and actually hold above that level with candle closes above that level. And so those are the key levels of resistance I'll be watching out for. And in terms of support, we have support based on this previous Fibonacci level back here, which is sitting at very close to 109,000, slightly underneath 109,000, so around 108.8k to 109,000, acting as some key support. And if we break below that level, we have some more support at just under 107,000, around 106.8k give or take, and a little bit more support at around 105,000 as well. And so those are the key levels to watch out for in this daily Bitcoin price chart in terms of support and resistance. And if we're taking a look at the much shorter term, just on the 4-hour time frame, we can see that right now, as of recording this video, we have technically just confirmed a new bullish divergence with lower lows in place in the price action in the candle closes, and now confirming higher lows in place in the 4-hour Bitcoin RSI, which is indeed a bullish divergence. And so what this tells us is that just in the short term, once again, not the larger timeframes here, but maybe over the next 1 or 2 days, it's likely we could finally see a little bit of a relief in the price of Bitcoin, which basically means either at worst some choppy sideways price action or possibly a slight bullish relief. So once again, we don't have significant momentum heading in the bullish direction, so maybe we see just a short-term bullish move, but don't necessarily expect a massive high momentum movement on these larger timeframes. So as always, understand the difference between the different timeframes. This 4-hour chart is only looking at short short-term moves, very small moves in the price of Bitcoin. But obviously, like I just said, at least in the short term for the next 1 or 2 days, this is some good news for the price of Bitcoin, most likely going to cause a little bit of a relief in the short term. But as always, focus on certain points of resistance where the price could possibly struggle at or reject from. The first point I'll be watching is that 112k level. If we break out above 112k, that will be very good news. That is a key level on the price chart. And in that situation, the next short-term target would be at around 114.8k, so just under 115,000, which will likely act as some resistance. And then above that, the next crucial level, key level on the price chart, sitting at around 117,000. And honestly, it is very likely that if we first confirm a breakout above 112,000 with candle closes above that level and hold above that level, it is quite likely, as I said earlier, that we would come back up to retest close to 117,000 as a likely price target if we first confirm a breakout above 112,000. And obviously, if this bullish divergence is ultimately still active, and in order to invalidate this bullish divergence, we'd have to see a break either below this low in the price or a breakdown in the RSI. So for now, once again, in the immediate short term, the next 1 or 2 days is a very likely scenario. We're going to see a little bit of a relief, a break from all of the bearish price action. And of course, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, you have to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And personally, I'm taking a lot of my crypto trades over on BTNX, so I'll make sure to leave a link to BTNX below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim some massive bonuses and enter into a 25,000 USD prize pool, which is only available to those of you that are actually using that link below this video to make your BTNX account. Anyone else over on BTNX that are not using that link cannot enter this prize pool. So obviously that gives you a much better chance of actually taking a major share of this prize pool here if you're using the link below this video compared to a bunch of other people not using that link. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link below this video. And in case you're wondering, BTNX is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want BTNX as an exchange, there's also Pinex as another exchange out there that I also trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to Pinex below this video. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page where you can also claim some major bonuses, like for example, a $50 sign up bonus just simply by making an account and completing KYC. It takes about 1 minute to do this. Using that link below this video, you get a free $50 bonus if you do that. And there's also deposit bonuses here. For example, if you deposit just $100, you get a $100 bonus onto your Pinex account, free money from the exchange just by depositing using that link. Or if you deposit up to $10,000, you get a $1,000 bonus onto your Pinex account. But remember, all of these bonuses here are only available if you're actually using the link below this video to make your Pinex account. So once again, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. And in case you're wondering, yes, you can access Pinex without KYC. But with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and right now we still have those major levels of liquidity to the downside, which I talked about in my last video. Major levels of liquidity to the downside sitting at around 95,000 and 92,000 if we're looking at the last 1 month worth of price action. But if we're taking a look at the last 2 weeks worth of price action, we can see that we also have some shorter term liquidity building above the price of Bitcoin, sitting at just under 120,000. Of course, I mentioned this about half a week ago. I said we do have some liquidity building at around 119.5k. So once again, just under 120,000. But as always, we also have to remember that we have certain points of resistance along the way where the price could possibly reject from or struggle at. And so rather than just relying on one chart by itself, we need to pay attention to all of this information to try and figure out what is most likely going to happen for the price of Bitcoin, because it's multiple things that affect the price, not just one thing by itself. And so it is quite likely, as I said earlier, that we're going to see a little bit of a relief now in the short term, maybe over the next couple of days or so, as a very likely outcome. But if we're still lacking momentum here, and if we're still playing out these major bearish divergences on the weekly time frame, the daily time frame, overall, of course, it's unlikely we'll necessarily see a major breakout above key points of resistance like 117,000 if we're still lacking bullish momentum. So just keep that in mind. But while we're about to see a little bit of a relief for the price of Bitcoin in the short term, while that is happening, we're also seeing a dump continue in the Bitcoin dominance, which is actually great news for the altcoin market, because if Bitcoin is having just some slight bullish price action while the Bitcoin dominance is dumping, that means a lot of altcoins, especially the major altcoins altcoins like Ethereum are going to be performing a bit better than what Bitcoin is doing. So if Bitcoin's playing out some slight bullish price action, altcoins can play out a little bit more bullish price action in the short term. And that's exactly what we are already starting to see in the immediate short term for the altcoin market. If we're taking a look at Ethereum here on the 3-day time frame, we're currently seeing a short-term bullish movement, and clearly the long-term trends, the larger time frames here, the bigger picture, still looking very bullish, as I've been saying for a long time. But of course, during the larger bullish trend, we can see short-term pullbacks along the way that we need to be aware of. And so when it comes to important support and resistance levels to watch out for, we have this crucial area of support here based on previous resistance now acting as new support, sitting in between around 3.9k to 4.1k. And as for resistance, we have this critical area of resistance here sitting in between around 4.8k to 4.9k. And so far, we've seen pretty much two perfect rejections from that area. And like I said in my last video, it's very likely that just in the shorter term for the next few days, maybe even the next week or so, it's likely the price remains in this sideways price range for a little longer. But of course, with the Bitcoin dominance dumping, this can potentially help Ethereum maybe play out another retest of this crucial area of resistance coming soon. So keep that in mind. And if we're taking a look at this daily Ethereum price chart, technically speaking, we still have this bearish divergence, which is still currently active. But like I said in my last video, it might not necessarily play out as long as some of these other bearish divergences, considering the much smaller size of this new bearish divergence between these two highs right here. And so once again, like I said in my last video, pay attention to what Bitcoin and especially the Bitcoin dominance are doing to figure out what could likely be about to happen for a lot of the altcoin market. So with Bitcoin now confirming this new bullish divergence and with the Bitcoin dominance dumping, it's quite likely now that Ethereum could retest these highs coming soon to retest this major area of resistance. But keep in mind, we're still likely going to struggle from that area and still at risk of another possible rejection from that area. And overall, let's just say if the price creates a slight little higher high like this, but still struggles to really break out above that strong area of resistance again, it's possible we invalidate this bearish divergence, but then maybe reconfirm a new bearish divergence later on. That is still a possible scenario where the price maybe creates a slight higher high like this, while the RSI is still sitting in lower highs. So keep that in mind as well. That could also be a likely outcome in the coming days or over the next 1 week or so. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 2-day time frame, Solana has actually avoided the confirmed break back below this key area on the price chart, sitting in between around 190 to 200, at least so far. And obviously this is also why we need to pay attention to what the Bitcoin dominance is doing and the Bitcoin price when we're looking at the altcoin market, because Bitcoin has a lot of influence on the altcoin market, especially the Bitcoin dominance dumping. Obviously that's good news for altcoins. As I've been saying for a long time, if the Bitcoin dominance is dumping, that is good for altcoins. And so for now, of course, we're still finding support in this area in between 190 to 200. So continue to expect support in that area. And as for resistance, we do have a bit of short-term resistance at roughly $210 based on these previous highs and also these previous highs. And above 210, we have major resistance. The next major price target based on this Fibonacci level is sitting at around $230. But if the price of Solana were to actually confirm candle closes below 190 and fail to get back above that area, in that situation, we still have that possible rising wedge, which is still forming. But I want to make this clear, this is not currently confirmed. It's just possibly forming. And so right now, this line of resistance is still sitting at around $108, give or take. And this line of support is still sitting at roughly around $175. And only if we actually confirm candle closes, first of all, below this area, but if we confirm candle closes below around $175, at least on the daily time frame, ideally a 2-day candle close below 175. And if we fail to get back above that area, only in that situation would activate the price target for this pattern, sitting at the bottom of the wedge, which is at around $135. But once again, that's only if we first confirm a break below this level at 175, which for now has not happened. And so overall, technically the price structure is still remaining bullish. We're still forming higher highs and higher lows, as we can see. So overall, good news. And especially if the Bitcoin dominance continues to dump while Bitcoin continues a short-term bullish relief, once again, at least for the next few days, this is likely going to cause a bit of a bullish move for a lot of the altcoins, especially Solana and other altcoins like that. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, technically speaking, on this much larger time frame here, technically we still have this major bearish divergence to watch out for, because we still have those higher highs confirmed in place in the price action here and the lower highs confirmed in place in the weekly XRP RSI. And so once again, as I've been saying pretty much since the beginning of this month or even the end of last month around around then, I've been saying since about $3.40, I've been saying expect basically a cool off or a lot of weakness. So most likely a bit of a pullback in the price of XRP for the remainder of August, maybe even leading into September is a very likely outcome. And obviously that's already perfectly played out as predicted throughout the month of August. And once again, this could continue over September. So keep that in mind. But if we're taking a look at the somewhat shorter term, just on the daily time frame, of course, with the rest of the altcoin market and with the Bitcoin dominance dumping and the altcoin market playing out that short-term bullish relief while Bitcoin's playing out the short-term bullish relief, it's very likely that just in the immediate short term, maybe for the next few days, it's likely that XRP will play out just a short-term bullish relief. But as always, understand the difference between the different time frames. Just because I'm saying we're likely going to play out now a short-term bullish relief, that does not necessarily mean that this larger bearish divergence that could play out over a period of months is over. So keep that in mind. We can play out short-term bullish price action during potentially a larger cool off. That is a possibility, but just be aware that it is quite likely now that we're going to see a bit of a bullish relief maybe over the next few days or so, especially if the Bitcoin dominance remains bearish. And ultimately the next price targets to watch out for in the immediate short term in terms of resistance to watch out for, sitting at around $3.10, and above that major resistance at around $3.34 to $3.40, give or take, so close to $3.40, acting as major resistance. And if we ultimately at some stage see another pullback again, expect a lot of support around $2.85 to $2.90. Below that, more support at around $2.75, and a significant area in between around $2.55 to $2.62. And so once again, expect a bit more of a short-term bullish relief as a very likely outcome over the next couple of days or so. But overall, we're actually in a bit of a sideways price range in the somewhat shorter term here in terms of the current trend here on the daily time frame, forming now a bit of a sideways price range. So keep that in mind. And if we're taking a look at this daily Chainlink price chart, we're now retesting this crucial level on the price chart, sitting in between around $24 to $25, which should be acting as a bit of short-term resistance in that area. And so obviously for the bulls out there, it's important we actually reclaim that area and confirm a breakout back above ideally $25 and hold above that area again. And if that's the situation, we'll likely see a retest of close to $27, which is also acting as very strong resistance at close to $27, as I've been saying since before we saw multiple perfect rejections from that area. And if we ultimately break out above $27 at some stage, the next major price target will be close to $30, just under $30, so at around $29.50 to $30, give or take, if we first break out above $27. But once again, the immediate area to watch out for is in between $24 to $25. We still need to confirm candle closes back above that area to now regain that area. But if the price of Chainlink starts to reject from that area, proving it as new resistance, in that situation, the next major target would be at just above $21, around $21.30, give or take, based on these lows right here. And of course, at around $20 to $21, we have this crucial area on the price chart based on previous resistance now acting as new support. And like I've said many times here on the channel, it doesn't matter if we see a short-term pullback from time to time. Technically, the larger trends, the larger price structure is still bullish for the price of Chainlink. So once again, yes, we could see short-term pullbacks, short-term rejections during the larger bullish trend, but for as long as the price of Chainlink holds above this area, the previous golden pocket in between $20 to $21, for as long as we're above that area, the larger price structure is still looking good. And if we're taking a look at this daily Chainlink price chart, technically speaking, we still have that active bearish divergence, which is still playing out for the price of Chainlink. And so of course, this means we should not necessarily expect significant bullish momentum, because that would be an unlikely scenario based on this bearish divergence. But considering the fact that Bitcoin is likely going to play out a slight bullish relief while the Bitcoin dominance is continuing the pullback, in the immediate short term, maybe just for the next couple of days, we actually might see a bit of a short-term bullish relief like this for the price of Chainlink. So once again, not necessarily breaking out above the previous high based on this bearish divergence, but just consider that we are likely going to see a bit of a relief, a bit of a bullish move, or just a break from all of the bearish price action, at least for the next couple of days, is a very likely outcome, especially if Bitcoin is doing that, and especially if the Bitcoin dominance remains bearish. That's good news for altcoins. And remember, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto to make a lot of money no matter what the price is is doing, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.